You'd think when you have nothing left to lose, you'd finally be free. But when I was 49, living out of a 10 by 10 storage unit, I found out that wasn't true. My past came knocking, and I mean that literally. Two men in dark suits asking about a flag I was given way back in 1987. They told me it was a matter of national security. What I'd soon discover was that it was the secret to my ruin and the key to my ultimate revenge. To understand why two government agents were standing in that fluorescent-lit hallway demanding a 30-year-old piece of cloth, we need to rewind. Not to 1987, not yet. Just 1 year back, to when my life still made sense. My name is John Miller. It's a name as average as the life I thought I'd built. For 25 years, I was a senior graphic designer, one of the best in the city. I had the corner office with a view, a portfolio stacked with awards, and a salary that paid for a nice, comfortable life in the suburbs. I had a wife, Sarah, 2 kids in college, and a golden retriever named Gus. I didn't just have the American dream. I swear I probably designed the brochure for it. My whole world was built on clean lines, balanced colors, and the steady, predictable rhythm of success. And then, it all shattered. It started with a call from HR. "John, we have to let you go." There was no warning, no real reason besides some vague talk about restructuring. I was stunned, but honestly, I was confident. I'm John Miller. I'll have a new job in a week. But a week turned into a month. A month became 6. My name, once a mark of quality, was now poison. Every single interview ended with a polite but firm no. Whispers started following me. Rumors about stolen designs, corporate espionage. It was insane. A smear campaign so damn effective, it felt like a ghost was haunting my career. My savings just evaporated, bled dry by the mortgage and tuition payments. The arguments with Sarah got louder, and the silences between them grew longer. The trust, the foundation of our life, just eroded until one day I came home to a note on the kitchen counter. Her mascara had run, smudging the words, "I can't do this anymore." The house went next, then the car. My kids stopped calling, their silence a chorus of what I thought was shame and disappointment. At 49, with a lifetime of hard work behind me, I found myself standing in front of Secure Space Storage, handing over what little cash I had left for a metal box, my new home. Homelessness at 49 isn't what you see in the movies, not at first. It's a slow, grinding erasure of who you are. You become invisible. The world you helped build, the ads you designed, the logos you created, they all mock you from a distance. You spend your days in public libraries, making a single coffee last for hours at a cafe, just trying to look like you belong somewhere. You shower at a 24-hour gym. You learn to live in the margins. The shame is a physical weight, a constant buddy that whispers all your failures in your ear while you try to sleep on a cot, surrounded by the ghosts of your former life packed neatly into cardboard boxes. I thought I'd finally hit rock bottom. I was wrong. It turns out rock bottom has a basement, and the way in is a sterile, roll-up metal door. I was shuffling my boxes around, a pointless ritual, when the knock came. It wasn't the timid tap of the night manager. It was a firm, authoritative sound that did not belong there. I slid the door open just a few feet. They were standing there, perfectly framed by the harsh hallway light. 2 men, both in identical, ill-fitting black suits that just screamed government issue. One was tall and lean. His face was a total blank. The other was shorter, stockier, with a tired look that said he'd delivered bad news 1,000 times before. "John Miller?" the tall one said. It wasn't a question. "Yes?" He flashed a badge. The letters were a blur, but I saw the eagle emblem. "Agent Kyler, this is Agent Stone, Department of Homeland Security. We need a word." My heart hammered my ribs. Homeland Security? For what? Unpaid parking tickets? They had to have the wrong guy. "I think there's been a mistake," I managed to say. "There's no mistake, Mr. Miller," Agent Stone said, his voice flat. "We're here about a flag you received in 1987, back when you worked at Aperture Designs." The words hit me like a punch. Aperture Designs, a company that was dead for decades, a lifetime ago. And a flag? I could barely remember breakfast, let alone some object from the 80s. A flag? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The Aperture Designs corporate flag, Kyler clarified, his eyes scanning the clutter in my unit. Blue and silver, stylized A logo. It was a custom design. You were the lead designer. We have reason to believe you were given the prototype. My mind raced, clawing back through the years, and then a flicker. A small company party, my first big project, my boss, a brilliant man named Arthur Vance, clapping my shoulder and handing me a rolled-up piece of cloth, a token of appreciation. I might have it, I admitted. It's probably in one of these boxes. But why? What is this about? Agent Stone took a small step forward. That flag is now considered evidence in a matter of national security. We need to confiscate it. National security? A corporate banner from a failed design firm? It made no sense. This was a flag meant to hang in a lobby, not a war room. It was a symbol of my youthful ambition, nothing more. It was completely, utterly insignificant. I don't understand, I said. It's just a piece of fabric. It's more than that, Mr. Miller, Kyler insisted, his voice getting hard. Your cooperation isn't optional. Find it. We'll be back tomorrow. They turned and walked away, their footsteps echoing down the concrete hall, leaving me terrified and confused. For the first time in a year, my own pathetic misery was pushed aside by a new, sharper fear. The government didn't just want my past, they were demanding it, and I had a sick feeling that this forgotten flag was somehow tied to the complete destruction of my life. Sleep was a joke that night. The agent's words, national security, bounced around the cramped space. I tore through my boxes with a frantic energy I hadn't felt in years, digging through the dusty layers of my life, college textbooks, photo albums of a smiling family that didn't exist anymore, old design awards that felt like they belonged to another man. Finally, in a long cardboard tube in a corner, I found it. I unrolled the flag on the cold concrete. It was exactly as they'd said. Deep navy blue with the sleek silver A of Aperture Designs in the center. The fabric was heavy, high quality. Looking at it, the memories flooded back. I was 22, bursting with ambition. Aperture was my first real job, founded by Arthur Vance, a visionary who thought design could change the world. His partner, though, was a different story. Marcus Thorne, a guy who saw design not as art, but as a commodity. He was all sharp suits and predatory ambition, constantly clashing with Arthur. Arthur wanted to innovate. Thorne wanted to liquidate. In the end, Thorne won, buying Arthur out and dissolving the company. Marcus Thorne. The name sent a jolt through me. He hadn't just vanished. A quick search on a library computer confirmed it. Marcus Thorne was now the Marcus Thorne, a billionaire, titan, CEO of Thorne Logistics, a global shipping and private security giant, a celebrated philanthropist whose face was on magazine covers. And then, as I scrolled through the news, my blood ran cold. He had just been nominated by the president to become the next Secretary of Commerce. Suddenly, the pieces started clicking into a terrifying picture. A powerful man about to get a major government job, and Homeland security agents showing up at a homeless man's storage unit demanding a relic from a company Thorne buried decades ago. These guys weren't real agents. The thought hit me with total certainty. Impostoring a federal agent is a huge crime. Real agents wouldn't be sent for something so trivial, and if they were, they wouldn't have left empty-handed. They were Thorne's men. He was cleaning house, scrubbing his past before his Senate confirmation hearings. And for some reason, this flag was a loose end. But why? What was so special about this design? It wasn't the cloth. It had to be the design. The source file. I called the only person left who might listen, an old colleague, Ben, now a freelance investigative journalist who specialized in digital forensics. He owed me one. I'd covered for him on a huge project years ago when his life was falling apart. "John, is that you?" he said, shocked. "I heard, well, Man, I heard you dropped off the map. I did, Ben, I said, my voice cracking. But I think I just figured out why. I need your help. It involves Marcus Thorne. There was a heavy silence on the line. Thorne. John, that's a dangerous name to be thrown around. I told him everything. The homelessness, the fake agents, the flag. He was skeptical, but the mention of Thorne in his nomination got his journalistic instincts going. We met at his cluttered apartment. I'd somehow kept my old work, a library of floppy disks I couldn't bear to toss. It was a long shot, but we spent hours trying to find the original file, hooking up ancient disk drives to modern computers. Finally, we got it. aperture_flag_final.ai, an Adobe Illustrator file from 1987. On the screen, it looked just like the flag. Simple, clean, nothing special. I don't see anything, John, Ben said, zooming in. It's just a logo. Keep looking, I urged. There has to be something. Ben sighed and started poking around in the file's raw code. For what felt like hours, there was nothing but the hum of the computer. Then, he froze. Whoa, wait a minute. He pointed to a section of code. This is steganography. Very old and very clever. Someone embedded a secondary file inside the image data. The code itself is the container. In 1987, you'd never have the processing power to even notice this, let alone get it out. My heart pounded. Can you open it? He typed furiously. I think so. It's heavily encrypted, but the password hint is a line of code I recognize. It's Arthur's, your old boss. It's his personal encryption key. Arthur Vance. Of course. He must have suspected Thorne even back then. He'd hidden something inside my own design, turning my first big success into his secret insurance policy. A few minutes later, a file appeared on the desktop. thorneledger.xls. Ben clicked it open, and there it was. My entire life, explained and destroyed in a series of spreadsheets. The ledger was Marcus Thorne's criminal soul, cataloged in cold, hard numbers. This went way beyond how he'd squeezed Arthur out of Aperture. This was the blueprint for his entire empire. Decades of money laundering, illegal arms shipments to sanctioned countries, hidden in his logistics containers. Bribery, extortion, it was all there, meticulously documented by Arthur. And tucked away in a tab labeled Internal Affairs was a smaller, more personal crime. A payment of $50,000 to a rival firm's executive in 1995. The purpose? Initiate and propagate corporate espionage rumors targeting John Miller. He didn't just get me fired, he orchestrated the slow, methodical assassination of my career. I was a loose end from his Aperture days, the designer who worked closely with Arthur. He must have been afraid Arthur told me something, so he neutralized me, turning me into a professional outcast, just in case. He hadn't just ruined my future, he'd been poisoning my life for decades, and I never even knew who my enemy was. The rage that filled me was cold and sharp. All those years of self-doubt, of believing I had failed, that I wasn't good enough, it was all a lie manufactured by one man to protect his dirty secrets. Ben looked at me, his face pale. John, this is explosive. We have to take this to the Department of Justice. No, I said, my voice dangerously calm. Thorne's about to become part of the government. His tentacles are everywhere. We can't trust the system he's about to control. He tried to erase me. He sent his thugs to my home, my 10-by-10 slice of hell, to threaten me. He thinks he's going to get his confirmation. We have to act now. Thorne used one of my designs to hide his crimes. I would use a design to expose them. For the next 48 hours, we didn't sleep. I was a designer again, but my client was vengeance. I created a simple, elegant, and devastatingly effective website. At the top, the blue and silver aperture flag. I called the site thevengeanceflag.com. Below the image, I laid out the whole story, my story. From the award-winning designer to the homeless man in a storage unit. I uploaded the ledger. I uploaded scans of the transactions proving Thorne had paid to have me blacklisted. I detailed the visit from his fake agents. I explained how Arthur Vance, my long-dead mentor, had hidden this time bomb inside my own work, a final act of justice from beyond the grave. Ben used his contacts, drafting an email with the link. We created a hashtag, Thorne Ledger. As my finger hovered over the send button, I thought about the two paths ahead. I could leak it anonymously, stay in the shadows and just watch the fire. Or I could attach my name to it, step out of the darkness, and reclaim the identity that was stolen from me. At the bottom of the page, I signed it. John Miller, designer. We hit send. The link went out to every major news outlet, political blogger, and government watchdog Ben knew. And then we waited. For the first hour, there was silence, the kind of crushing silence where you start to think you've made a huge mistake. But then, a single notification. Then another. Then 10. My story, our story, wasn't just about revenge. It was about how fast a life can be shattered by the powerful and how easily the truth can be buried. If you believe that secrets like these need to be dragged into the light, subscribing means you get more stories of hidden truths and shocking revelations. Help me make sure no one else gets erased. It wasn't a spark, it was a wildfire. Hashtag Thorne Ledger started trending on social media within 2 hours. The website crashed from all the traffic, and Ben had to scramble to move it to a more powerful server. By morning, it was the lead story on every single news channel. The vengeance flag, my design, was plastered on screens behind news anchors reporting on the scandal. The fallout for Thorne was immediate and catastrophic. The White House withdrew his nomination for Secretary of Commerce before lunch. By evening, the real Department of Homeland Security, along with the SEC and the DOJ, announced formal investigations, citing the information from my website. Thorne's lawyers called it a baseless smear campaign from a disgruntled former employee. But the ledger was irrefutable. Arthur's encryption was a digital fingerprint they couldn't fake. Within 72 hours, Marcus Thorne was arrested trying to board his private jet. The two men who visited me were identified from the storage facility's security footage and picked up. Impersonating federal agents was just one of the many charges they and Thorne were about to face. For me, everything changed. I wasn't an invisible man anymore. I was the man who took down Marcus Thorne. Reporters camped outside my storage unit. Offers for book deals, movie rights, and interviews poured in. The blacklisting that had defined my life was shattered, and my story became a case study in corporate malfeasance. I didn't take most of the offers. I took enough to get an apartment, a real one, with windows and a bed. I reconnected with my kids who were horrified and so apologetic when they learned the truth. Sarah even called, crying. That door is still closed between us, but for the first time in a long time, it's not locked. My name is clear. I'm a designer again. But I'm not the same naive man who was so proud of that flag back in 1987. I learned that the world isn't all clean lines and balanced palettes. It's messy and it's brutal. And sometimes the only way to find justice is to design it yourself. The flag now sits in a frame on my wall. It's not just a piece of cloth anymore. It's a reminder that even when you've lost everything, the past can hold the key to your future. It's the symbol of my ruin and the instrument of my resurrection.